Ace Frehley. The Kiss albums, one by each of the 4 Kiss stars on Casablanca Records and Tapes.
Alright guys, today we're going to do Gene Simmons' solo album, his 1978 release solo album. That's going to be the one we're going to do because that is the first catalog number. So we're going to go in catalog order, so Gene is up first.
Alright.
Let's get right into it. We're going to have some release notes. It was produced by Sean Delaney and Gene Simmons. It was recorded from April to July of 1978 over a 4-month period. It was released September 18th, 1978, along with the other 3 band members' solo efforts. It was recorded at the Manor, Shopton-on-Cherwell in Oxfordshire, England, Cherokee Studios in Los Angeles, and Blue Rock Studio in New York. It was mixed at Trident Studios in London, England by Mike Stone, John Brand, Alan Douglas, and Frank D'Amico. A little bit of trivia on the album. It was originally intended to be called Man of a Thousand Faces. That's what Gene wanted to call it. But they changed it to, they nixed that idea so it would line up with the marketing scheme for the other solo albums. Gene's has the most studio tracks at 11, and at 38:48 he has the longest runtime of the 4 albums. And Gene did not play bass on the albums. He opted to give bass duties to another musician. He let Neil Jason play, and he played mostly acoustic and electric guitars. His album has the most special guests, but he used a core group that included Neil Jason on bass, Elliot Randall on guitar, and Alan Schwarzenberg on drums. And Alan Schwarzenberg also played on some of Peter's drum tracks for his solo album, and Neil Jason played bass on Peter's solo album. And he also had some background singers, a core group, Gordon Grady, Diva Gray, Franny Eisenberry, Carolyn Ray, Katie Segal, as his core background singers on many of the songs. He also had more special guests than any other band member, but we'll talk about those at each song, on each song. Sean Delaney also provided some percussion and vocals as well as co-producing. Gene originally wanted Bob Kulick to play on this album, but Paul Stanley kind of stole him away before Gene got the chance to use him, and Bob ended up playing guitars on Paul's album. Now, as far as charting, this album peaked at number 22 and spent 22 weeks on the charts. It's the highest charting of the solo albums, and Gene claims that his is the highest selling, but there's another band member who actually sold more albums than Gene did, even though Gene charted higher. The album was certified gold and platinum on the same day by the RIAA on October 2nd, 1978. The iconic cover was painted by Eraldo Caragatti, as was the other 3 solo covers. All 4 solo albums had the same marketing theme and was dedicated to the other 3 band members. Included inside was a dust sleeve with all 4 solo album covers on it, a poster that formed a larger poster when added to the other posters from the other albums, so you needed all 4, good job marketing department, and a merchandise form. Alright, so that's the history of the album basically and everything about it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get to the songs. We're going to start with track 1, Radioactive.
She's radioactive. Radioactive. She's very selective. Radioactive. She's what I need. She's so pretty indeed. I've got a baby.
Radioactive was written and sang by Gene. Joe Perry played on the guitar during the chorus. Steve Lacy played the solo. Eric Troyer plays piano, and Bob Singer sang background. This was originally a song called Penny Arcade that Gene had started writing in mind to give to Jerry Lee Lewis. Ron Frangipane, who conducted the orchestra on the album, composed the introduction, and Janice Ian sang the intro in Latin. Sean Delaney is also growling on the intro. Now, this is the song that this album is really known for. Most people know Radioactive from this album, and I think it's a really good song. It's one of the songs that it's a good way to start an album, and it's definitely, with that demonic. This starts off with the laughing, and then it's got all the orchestration and stuff. It almost sounds like a mixture of Jaws and music from a horror movie and things like that, which is very typical of Gene.
Yeah.
This is exactly what you would expect Gene to do. And I'm sure that when this album started, fans was like, oh yeah. Because I remember a funny story. I used to take this song, and I had a cassette player, and I had this on cassette, and I used to take it, and I had a little kid that lived next door to me, and I used to take it and play this cassette outside his window of Gene, and it used to scare the crap out of him. So
You're a terrible person.
I am a terrible person. But this is a good song to a good start to the album, and I really like this song. I give it a 6.
All right, cool. Let's see here. I think this song sounds the most like a Kiss song to me, or a Gene Kiss song, that is. Mm-hmm. And there are a couple more on here that are in the Kiss ballpark. I mean, with the exception of "See You in Your Dreams," because that is a Kiss song.
Right.
I think this sounds the most Kiss-like, and I think it sounds really good. I like the intro; it's really creepy and basically the perfect way to start the album. The thing is, it's a good way to start the album, but the rest of the album doesn't match.
Right. Right.
I think it has a good. I mean, this is kind of piecey together like Gene normally does. Good, solid construction, and it's a well-built song. I don't really have much more to say than that, so I give it a 6.
Okay. 6 and 6. Okay, so we're going to move on to track number 2. We're going to move on to "Burning Up with Fever."
I'm a gifted giver, not a woman mistreater. You know there is no one, yeah.
"Burning Up with Fever" was written and sang by Gene. Donna Summer provided background vocals. Classical guitarist John Shane Howell played the guitar after the false start, and Jeff "Skunk" Baxter from the Doobie Brothers plays guitar on the song. I like "Burning Up with Fever." I think it's funny how Gene, he's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that's a classical guitarist playing that
Yeah.
you know, it's a classical guitarist doing that, and so I thought that was it's a real interesting way to start that song, the false count and then the classical guitar. I think Gene was messing with people intentionally. It's
probably.
like, okay, Gene's methodical. Okay, we just did this song. I just creeped you out and played a song that you think that I would do. Now I'm going to kind of change it up a little bit. But then he still comes out with "Burning Up with Fever." And I like the groove in this. It's got that dan 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 dan, and this reworked and maybe produced differently could have been a Kiss song. Especially with the Donna Summer singing background, that female background voice, it fits the song great. I actually enjoy "Burning Up with Fever" more than I do "Radioactive." I give it a 7.
Oh, okay. I echo your statement that this is one of the other songs on the album that probably could have been a Kiss song potentially, which is not a trend that follows with the rest. But this is definitely one of them. Maybe with a little influence from Paul and Ace, could have pretty easily been turned into one. I'm a big sucker for like nylon classical guitars, and I really enjoy that intro. But much past that, I don't really like the song that much.
Okay.
It's sitting in the middle with me, so I give it a 5.
Okay, so 7 and a 5. All right. So with that, we're going to move on to track 3. We're going to move on to "See You Tonight."
I know it's around. Don't have any doubts about that fact. I'll see you get it tonight.
"See You Tonight" was written and sang by Gene. Most of Gene's early pre-Kiss material sounded like this song and several other songs on the album. This actually was a pre-Kiss song. Jeff "Skunk" Baxter plays guitar again. Mitch Weisman and Joe Procarino of Beatlemania sang background vocals. Now, you talk about you had "Radioactive" and "Burning Up with Fever," and now it's like Gene is like, okay, I'm going to go out of left field and I'm going to throw you a curveball, because then he goes soft rock.
Yeah.
But "See You Tonight" is a good song. I like See You Tonight. It's not a demon song, so if you're looking for a demon song, it's not it.
No.
It could be a Kiss song. It could have been. I mean, come on. I'd rather had See You Tonight than Then She Kissed Me. So it could have been on a Kiss album, you know.
Yeah.
But it's still one of those songs that I think could have been a Kiss song. Kiss would have probably done it a little differently because it's right, kind of like along the lines of a Hard Luck Woman type song as far as, you know, soft rock. You know, because even Beth is even softer, you know.
Yeah.
So this could have been a Kiss song, but I really like this song. So I'm going to score it a 5.
Okay. Well, I really, really like this song, and which is kind of saying something, is because most of Gene's songs on this album that aren't Kiss songs, they're very much Beatles influenced.
Very much.
And I'm not the biggest fan of the Beatles, and I'm not afraid to say that. But I really, really like this song, and it just has something that really grabs my attention. This was the first song that really, when I was initially went in to listen to this album, this is the first one that was like up front. Because the first two, I was just kind of like, oh, these are your run-of-the-mill Kiss songs. You have the interesting intros on both of them, you know, with the classic guitar on the one. But this song, like I said, was just the first one that really stuck out to me, the album, and it kind of was the only one that left an impression. So I'm going to score this one an 8.
That's good. Okay, so that's a good score on that. So we're going to go ahead and go on to the next song. We're going to go on to Tunnel of Love.
You are the lock, I am the key. You know what you do to me. Tunnel of love, tunnel of love.
Tunnel of Love was written and sang by Gene. He used parts of the original lyrics from Man of a Thousand Faces in this song. He also used the lyrics from Man of a Thousand Faces on Love Gun's Got Love for Sale. This song prospectively could have been on Love Gun, since it was written about the same time Got Love for Sale was, when the band was in Japan in March and April of 1977. This was originally demoed with the Van Halen brothers. Donna Summer sang background vocals. Joe Perry, Skunk Baxter, and Richie Rano all recorded tracks for the song, but only Richie's tracks would make it to the final cut, even though all 3 guitarists are credited. Tunnel of Love is another one of those songs that's kind of funky. And I do like Gene does lay some funk down on this album.
Yeah.
It's not the hardest rocking, blood spitting type, you know, fire breathing type music that you're used to out of Gene. But he does lay down some pretty, and I'm real impressed that Gene writes most of the songs on this album all by himself. And this is one of those songs where he, you know, stole some more lyrics from Man of a Thousand Faces. So here's 2 songs now that he's made out of using lyrics from Man of a Thousand Faces. So
and then Man of a Thousand Faces still has lyrics left.
And Man of a Thousand Faces, we'll get to that later. Man of a Thousand Faces still makes it to this album. But I like the riff. I like the, you know, I like the vocals in it. I like this song. So I score this song a 5.
Okay. I really like this song too, and this starts to get kind of back into the area where the songs start to become background noise again for me. But I love a good funk riff, just as much as the next guy. So I don't have a whole lot to say about it, because it's a solid song, but it's not really written in any interesting way. And it's not like it has a ton of energy like some other songs that we've listened to. So this one's just going to the middle for me. So I'm going 5.
Okay. All right. So with that, we're going to go to the next track. We're going to go to True Confessions.
Oh, baby, you can have me absolutely. Won't you give me true confessions? True confessions.
True Confessions was written and sang by Gene. Helen Reddy sang background vocals on the song and played ping pong with Gene in the studio while they were working on the recording. Richard Gersten, also known as Richard T. Bear, played piano, and the Citrus College Singers sang background vocals as well. True Confessions is a good song. I know that I think it was funny whenever Ace found out that Gene had Helen Reddy as a special guest on his album. He was actually like, "What the man?" I mean, he was like, Helen Reddy. Helen Reddy is "I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar." But I guess, like I said, Gene has the most special guest of anybody, but he found a way to make them all fit. If you not told me that was, Katie Seagal's on this album. She was in Married with Children. She played the one-eyed person on Futurama. She also played. She also played. Yeah, she also played the mom in Sons of Anarchy. But back then she was a singer. She was just an unknown singer. She got famous for her acting later on. But Gene just has a way of making things sound really good. A lot of Gene's songs on his albums are songs that I like. They're not songs I love or really like. They're not songs that I hate. So once again, this one falls on a rating of 5 for me. Middle of the road, like you said on the last song. It's middle of the road. I don't skip it, and I like different aspects about it, but it's not a song like one of the earlier songs like Burning Up with Fever or Radioactive that kind of jump out at me.
Okay, that's fair. I remember when I was listening to the album, like you said, none of the songs up to this point were where I was itching to hit the skip button. Mm-hmm. And I think this is kind of another one of those. I've enjoyed everything up to this point, but I'm not like...
You don't feel like you're suffering through it.
No,
You actually,
I'm enjoying myself.
You catch different things about it that you like.
Yeah.
But it's still just not middle of the road,
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not the first thing I'm going to pick out in my pile of CDs or whatever. My metaphorical pile of CDs, because my car doesn't even have a CD player.
Right.
But it's not the first one I pick out. But this song, and I keep using the phrase, but it's just kind of another middle of the road for me. I don't like it, but. I mean, I like it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Mm-hmm. And I don't dislike it enough to consider skipping it, so I'm going 5 again.
All right.
And I'm not sorry.
So now we're going to move on to the next track. We're going to move on to Living in Sin.
The Holiday.
I'm living in sin at the Holiday Inn. At the Holiday Inn, yeah. I'm living in sin. I'm living in sin at the Holiday Inn. At the Holiday Inn, just living in sin. Deep in your heart.
Living in Sin was written by Gene, Sean Delaney, and Howard Marks, and sang by Gene. Cher appears on the song, but only during the phone call as a frenzied fan. Eric Troyer played piano and sang background vocals. Bob Seger sang background vocals. And it's funny that you said about Living in Sin at the Holiday Inn. That was originally supposed to be the title, was Living in Sin at the Holiday Inn. And it was shortened because they didn't want to get in trouble with Holiday Inn for having a song, about getting a groupie to come and have sex with you, at your hotel room. So they did shorten it to just Living in Sin. Now, this is another one of those songs that people know Radioactive and they know Living in Sin.
Right.
I like Living in Sin. The whole phone call thing bothers me. Just the way that she's, this Gene Simmons, But I think it's funny because whenever you hear the phone ring and you hear like bottles knocking over, like Gene actually drinks and he doesn't, and then he picks up the phone and he does his best big bopper. He's like, "Hello, baby." I mean, to me, it's just kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of corny, but
They kind of left it out.
Yeah, but
I think it's funny to think that Cher.
Well, Cher and Gene dated for a while. He dated Cher and he dated Donna Summer as well.
Really?
Yeah, for a little bit. Yeah.
I don't keep up with relationships.
Yeah.
Tabloids.
But it's a good song. It's one of those, like I said, I like this song. I actually like this song more towards like the way I like Radioactive and Burning Up with Fever. So I score this one a 6.
Oh. Okay, so you don't like this song. You like this song.
I like this song. Right.
All right.
Right. Right. It
If we're gonna get back into third grade.
it gets a double like. Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets a like.
All right. So I thought this song was pretty catchy whenever I started listening to it. The phone call thing, I actually laughed because I was like, you hear the bottles being knocked over and whatnot. I'm like, come on, guys, come on, guys. This is another one I think could have been a Kiss song.
Living in Sin could have been a Kiss song. Yeah, I mean, it's right there with... I mean, I think of other Kiss songs like Plaster Caster. This could have replaced Plaster Caster.
I think this would have been right at home on Rock and Roll Over.
Rock and Roll Over, it would have been right at home. Yeah, I think so too.
But given... I don't really know what it is. It's okay. I guess it's a little better than what we've got to at this point. Kind of another middle of the road. I like it slightly more, so I'm going 6 on this.
All right, 6 as well. All right, so we're going to move on to the next track. Always near you, nowhere to hide. Always Near You, Nowhere to Hide was written and sang by Gene. This song was originally 2 separate pieces, one which dated back to 1975. Skunk Baxter plays guitar. Mitch Westman and Joe Picarino of Beatlemania returned to sing background vocals. Richard Gerson, a.k.a. Richard T. Bear, played piano. The Citrus College Singers sing background vocals. And Gene really stretched his vocal talents in the second part of the song. This is one of those songs that when it first starts off, this is probably so laid back that it's almost like a song that you could almost just lay back and go to sleep over. It's very laid back. I do like the way it changes when it goes into Nowhere to Hide. I really like Gene stretching his vocal talents at the end of it when he's hitting those high notes and everything. At some point in time, he's hitting those really high notes at the end. And that's what the solo albums was about. It was about them
highlighting
themselves, trying to showcase things that they normally wouldn't get to showcase as being confined to the other 4 members of the band. So, the other 3 members of the band. So,
because if he brought this song, or, Nothing to Hide to Kiss, Paul would be like, let me handle those, buddy.
Right, exactly. Or they'd have rewritten it, rearranged it. It might have been a collaboration, or there would have been a producer that was trying to work the song in with the overall feel of the other songs on the album.
Yeah.
So, something would have happened along the way. But this is it's a song that I like. I don't like, I don't hate, I don't love, I don't loathe. So it's a middle of the road 5 for me.
This is, you guys catch the trend yet?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Man, I didn't when you see the dash there, and I'm just kind of like, okay, this is just another way to name the song. Maybe they didn't believe in using parentheses back then for because you'll be like
a subtitle.
Yeah,
right.
Like Don't Fear the Reaper's not even actually called that.
Right.
And so that's what I kind of thought, and I was like, oh, we're in a different song now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was surprising. I didn't know Gene could sing like that, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did. I knew he was a good vocalist, but I didn't know he could hit up there. So it was kind of surprising. But, again, it's not really a song that jives with me personally.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this kind of softer rock music, it's not something that I can really get into.
Mm-hmm.
Softer rock I don't know if I could say rock and roll. Soft rock, beginning stages of rock. I'm not really into that too much.
It's not quite easy listening. It's not James Taylor, but it's soft rock. It's definitely and you hear more of that Beatlesque influence in there,
Yeah.
That he was heavily influenced by. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Paul and Gene both are big fans of the Beatles. But again, another kind of middle of the road one for me, so I'm going 5.
All right, 5 again. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the next track, Man of 1,000 Faces.
Man of 1,000 faces.
Man of a Thousand Faces was written and sang by Gene. This was written as a tribute to one of Gene's heroes, Lon Chaney. Most original lyrics of Man of a Thousand Faces had been stripped away for other songs. Parts of verses that were left were discarded and new verses were written. The only original lyrics that remained were the chorus, "I'm the Man of a Thousand Faces." Gene wanted his album to be called Man of a Thousand Faces because he knew the direction he was going to be taking could be a controversial one, but he wanted to show his fans all of his different faces. Now, I personally like Man of a Thousand Faces, and I actually, even up to as early as today, I was on the internet looking and making sure, because this was one of those songs that I was convinced that the guys from Beatlemania sang with him. Because you hear that Man of a Thousand Faces, but they're not credited on any of the websites I went to. They're credited to other songs, but they're not credited to this one. Which, I mean, if they are singing on it, great, but they're not credited nowhere I can find. And so
that makes you think,
if they're not credited, then Gene's doing some really cool stuff with his voice, because and actually when I saw that they weren't credited, I went back and just listened to this song, and I could actually hear Gene doing all those harmonies, because once you listen to it real close, it does sound more like Gene singing in a Beatlesque type manner.
yeah.
But yeah, the Beatlemania guys are only credited for 3 songs on the album, and this isn't one of them. But Man of a Thousand Faces, I can see why this is what he wanted to call his album. And I think it would have been a good title if this would have been a Gene Simmons solo, and they'd been not under the strictness of the marketing, making all 4 of the solo albums the same and having the same title and the same layout and everything. I'd see.
What are the solo albums actually called? Are they named after the member?
They're called the solo albums. They're named after the member. Well, that's controversial, because I've heard people say they're called the Kiss albums. They're not actually called the solo albums, but they are under. You look. It depends on where you look, because if you look at some places on the website, if you look under Kiss, the heading of Kiss for the artist, these albums fall in. But if you, on some websites, if you look under Kiss, they don't.
Yeah, because I use Google Play Music to listen to all my stuff, and I have to go under the artists respectively to find these. Mm-hmm. If I go under Kiss, they're not there.
Yeah.
So I had to go.
But they were called the Kiss albums. They weren't called the solo albums. They were called the Kiss albums, and they were marketed, all 4 of them. They wanted you to market. They wanted you to buy all 4 of them.
Right.
That's why they all look the same. That's why they had the poster that joined together.
That's why they all pressed 1 million copies.
That's why they pressed 1 million copies of each. And a lot of people say they put them in competition with each other, but I never really saw it as that. I just saw it as most people who bought one, they bought all 3. They bought all 4 of them. So, but as far as getting back to Man of a Thousand Faces, I like it. I don't like it, but I don't hate it. So once again, it's that middle of the road. It's a 5.
Yeah. Man, this is turning out pretty speedy.
Yeah.
I want to like it more, but I can't. I want to like it more because I'm like, man, this is like what he's trying to preach with this album.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't like the song enough. So I'm going kind of middle of the road 5.
All right. So with that, we're going to go to the next track. We're going to go to Mr. Make Believe.
Baby, won't you try just one more chance tonight? Mr. Make Believe, Mr. Make Believe.
Mr. Make Believe was written and sang by Gene. It was one of the songs written for the solo album that sounds more like his early material. Jeff Skunk Baxter plays guitar. Mitch Weissman and Joe Puccarino of Beatlemania returned to sing background vocals. Now Mr. Make Believe is one of those other songs. It is like, it's right in line with Man of a Thousand Faces. It's right in line with Always Near You, Nowhere to Hide. It's very Beatlesque. But I really, like I said, there's something about all these songs that I like. And Mr. Make Believe is one of those songs that I like. And it is very soft and everything. And Gene is, there's certain things about it, like whenever there's a part where he says something, oh yeah, and the Beatles guys comes in, oh yeah, and they sound just like Paul and Ringo, or Paul and John, because that's the members in Beatlemania that they actually played. One guy represented Paul and one guy represented John, so they had that Paul and John harmony about them. But if you listen to these words, it's kind of like Mr. Make Believe. It's almost Man of a Thousand Faces Part 2. It's like, because you're the man of a thousand faces, but all those faces, they could be part of you, but none of them are all you.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you have to sometimes Mr. Make Believe. It makes you wonder if, since this is a lot of the stuff that those type of songs that Gene wrote before he was in Kiss, maybe the demon is the make believe. Maybe he is the demon is his personified character, and he's really more like Clark Kent rather than being more like Superman. He's more like Clark Kent, So I honestly believe that that's why these songs come from Gene, and they come so easily from Gene, is because I think Gene is more of Mr. Make Believe and more of Mr. Man of a Thousand Faces than he is God of Thunder, Dr. Love. That's just my opinion. But I do like this song. This is one of those songs I don't like, and I don't hate. So it's a 5.
You're reading off my sheet, aren't you? Yeah, I'm just going to say up front, I'm going another strong 5 on this one. Because while I appreciate the direction of Gene's album, it's just not the kind of music that I like. Nothing against anyone or anyone who thinks that the Beatles are the greatest band of all time. We all have different tastes, and we're allowed to have different tastes.
Different tastes, different opinion, and that's what these reviews are. Just opinions.
Yeah, so, like I said, another solid 5 for me. Not a bad song. Not a great song.
Right.
Just okay.
Right. Okay. Right down the road. Right down the middle. All right. So we're going to go on to the next song. We're going to go on to See You in Your Dreams.
You're in the room, you're home too soon. You can't get me out of your mind. Well, you get in bed, you copy your head. My letter to you is signed, and this is what I'm saying.
And See You in Your Dreams was written and sang by Gene. Gene re-recorded the song because he was not happy with the version on Rock and Roll Over, and it turns out he wasn't really happy with this version either. I read in an interview he was looking for more of a humble pie sound. Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick plays the lead guitar solo, and Michael DeBars sings the background vocals. Now, a lot of people, Gene himself, don't like this version of the song. Gene, doesn't like either version that he did. Me personally, I listened to this version whenever I was doing my scoring, and I went back and listened to the version off Rock and Roll Over, and I went back and listened to Gene's, and I went back and listened to the version Rock and Roll Over. I kind of ping-ponged for a good 2 times back and forth. And controversial or not, I like this version better. There's just stuff about it. I think this is, I don't think Gene got where he wanted to get, but I think he got closer than he did on Rock and Roll Over. So for me, I like this song. So I'm going to score this version. I'm going to score it a 7.
What did you score it originally?
I think originally I scored it a 6. I like it a little more.
Not much more, though.
And I may even scored it the same. I'm not sure. But I didn't like it enough. If I scored it the same on Rock and Roll Over, if somebody goes back and looks, I don't have that in front of me. But if I did score it the same, I like this more. I just didn't like it enough to make it 8.
Right. Yeah, because then it's up against some stiff competition.
Right, yeah, you get into 8s and 9s. You start getting into, and even going as a 7, you're starting to get into stiff competition.
Yeah.
But I scored a 7.
Okay. Well, I didn't like this song very much on Rock and Roll Over, because I said that it's rather presumptuous, and I don't. It's one of the more straightforward songs of this kind of stuff that I don't enjoy. from Kiss. But I do agree. I like this version better. I can't really put my finger on why.
It seems more alive, more spontaneous, more, I won't say more energy, but it's got the background singers and just some of the way Gene sings stuff. And there's one part where, the demon comes out a little bit. You can't get me out of your mind. Yeah. And, the demon comes out for just a little bit.
That thing.
And I love that part. When he does that, I love that part. So, but yeah, it's just the little things like that. And plus it's got an extra verse. It's got that where he goes, I love you, I do. Mm-hmm. That's not, so it is a little different. It's like, so I mean, it's a different version, and I like it better.
I like this one better too. I think I tanked it last time. That was like 4 or something, 4 or 5. So I went 6 on this one.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so that's a big improvement. Okay, we're going to go on to the last song. We're going to go on to When You Wish Upon a Star.
When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything.
The When You Wish Upon a Star was written by Ned Washington and Lee Harline and sang by Gene. The song was originally written for Pinocchio, sang by Jiminy Cricket. The song has always been near and dear to Gene's heart, and he's based his life on it. But he not only wished, he went out and he did. And Gene was overcome with emotion during the recording of his vocals, and his voice cracked. Gene wanted to re-record it, but Sean Delaney wouldn't let him. Now, When You Wish Upon a Star, a lot of people, this is the Then She Kissed Me of this album. Or this is the...
I'm really interested to know your score.
This is the horrible, horrible, horrible song. This the album should have been 10 songs, not 11.
Yeah.
Why did he add this song? All I gotta say is ballsy move to have the Demons sing When You Wish Upon a Star. And a lot of diehard Kiss fans and a lot of Demon fans, they're like, what the hell? Gene, the Demon singing When You Wish Upon a Star?
But it's not the Demon singing it.
No, it's Gene Simmons singing it. And a lot of people, they're like, well, if it's not the Demon singing it, then he shouldn't have been on the cover in his makeup. Well, hey,
that's not his problem.
He had to be on the. Yeah, this is Gene singing it. I like this song. I'm gonna just go ahead and say I like it. I like the symphony. It does that little intro, and then he comes in and he starts singing. I admit, and I'm going to sound like a pansy to a lot of people, but I've actually been moved to tears hearing Gene singing this song. Not really so much because of his delivery, which he doesn't do bad. This is a tough song to sing and sound good at it, and I think Gene does a really good job. But just because I know what it means to him, and everybody thinks of Gene now as the money grubbing, say anything and do anything to make a buck and everything. But this is a song, this is one of the first songs that he heard, and he couldn't even really speak English yet whenever he came over from, Israel. And this is the song that he embodied, that he embraced. And it's, like I said, when I hear him sing it, it's like I feel what he's feeling and everything. And but it's not a song, I can't score it too high, because even though I like it, I have when I go above like, then I have to start looking at other songs in the Kiss catalog and even on his own album that I like. So this is, but I don't hate it. I never skip it. I don't skip when See You in Your Dreams goes off. I look forward to the coming in. So I give it a 5.
All right, cool. Well, we're not going to make anyone happy then, because
this isn't about making people happy. This is about us expressing our opinions.
Yeah.
And if they agree with it, they can say, hey, we agree. If they think we're wrong and they think we're effing idiots, they can put comments, because they do anyway.
Yeah.
So this is just our opinions, guys. So don't get all worked up. And if you do get worked up, comment. I'm not going to delete your comment. I'm going to leave it out there for everybody else to see. But so go ahead, what you have to say, because I don't know. We don't talk about this ahead of time.
I really like it. I really, really do. I listen to this kind of music all the time, which more often than not, it doesn't have lyrics with it.
Right.
But it's not even that I know what it means to Gene, because I didn't know any of that before you just now said it.
Right.
It's not even. I just like it. It's a good song. It's a good delivery of this song. So that being said, and I didn't remember it was from Pinocchio either.
Yeah.
And I should have known that, because that's like one of the first movies I ever watched.
Yeah.
I give it a 7.
A 7. Hey, like I said, that's awesome. I mean, that's what you want to score. That's awesome.
I think I have a little bit more luxury than you, because I don't have the conviction to go back and check what else I scored a 7.
Yeah, you just score. I think you look at each album almost individually, and kind of. So I want you. Why don't do you have a final thoughts before we recap our score?
I do.
You have final thoughts?
That's going to be my thing. I have an overall statement for the album from now on.
Okay.
I said it doesn't match my taste personally. I see why a lot of people down it. But I know that it's what Gene do. It was Gene doing what he loved to do, and so that makes it a great album to me.
Okay, this is my final thoughts, and I'm going to read it. I'm reading from my notes here. Sincere, honest. He made the album he wanted to make. Played with who he wanted to play with, except for Bob Kulick. Played what instruments he wanted to play. And made the album he wanted to make, regardless of what anyone else wanted or expected of him. He came under a lot of fire for having all the recording. I think he might have even recorded the longest too, but I've not got to my full research on the other albums yet. But he went to a lot of different studios. He played with a ton of musicians. He got criticized for not playing bass. He got criticized for writing some non-Demon and non-Kiss songs. But in the end, he did what he wanted to do. And now, could he have made an album full of God of Thunder Part 2 and Dr. Love and Almost Human? Yes, he could have. But he chose not to do that, and he chose to do what he wanted to do. And to me, that took balls. And I respect that. So I like Gene's album. So we're going to talk about our final scores here. So if my song listings, I give Radioactive a 6, Burning Up with Fever a 7, See You Tonight a 5, Tunnel of Love a 5, True Confessions a 5, Living in Sin a 6, Always Near You a 5, Man of a Thousand Faces a 5, Mr. Make Believe a 5, See in Your Dreams a 7, When You Wish Upon a Star a 5. That's a total of 61. That's a score of 5.55. Now, I will mention I did not score. Notice I did not score any song under 5, and I do not skip any songs on this album when I listen to it. So, what about you?
I scored Radioactive a 6, Burning Up with Fever 5, See You Tonight 8, Tunnel of Love 5, True Confessions 5, Living in Sin 6, Always Near You 5, Man of a Thousand Faces 5, Mr. Make Believe 5, See in Your Dreams 6, and When I Wish Upon a Star 7.
So what does that give you for a total?
Gives me 63 total, divided by the 11 tracks, gives me a 5.72.
So in the end, you actually scored the album a little better than I did.
Is this the first time I've ever done that?
I think it is.
I
think this is the first time you've scored an album better than me. So that's cool. Awesome. So
I think it was When You Wished Upon a Star, because if I would have scored it a 5 as well, we would have both had 61.
Yeah. All right. So what I'll do is I'll talk about my total ranking of the albums to this far, of the albums that we have reviewed so far. That keeps Alive 2 at number 1 at 7.75. Rock and Roll Over is number 2 at 7.1. Alive is 3 at 7.06. Love Gun is 4 at 6.9. Destroyer is 5 at 6.77. Dress to Kill is 6 at 6.3. Kiss is 7th at 5.9. Harder Than Hell is 8th at 5.7. And Gene's comes in last at 5.55. So that's it with Gene. Like I said, all in all, it's a good middle of the road album. There's not a song on it that I hate.
Nope.
So next we'll be moving on by catalog number. We'll be moving on to Ace Frehley's solo album.
Yep.
And so that'll be up the next review that we do. And so we appreciate you watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, click on my face right in this area right here. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Rog Fleg. God.
These names.
Frang. How do you even say that? F-R-A-I-N. Frangipane?
I think it is Frangipane.
Say it with straight face.
Well, I'm not on the camera, so. Rod Frangipane, who conducted the... All right, you gotta leave. It's gonna take me too many takes.